All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Land of the Lustrous, episode 10. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So we had a bit of a time skip.
We did.
And Foss is now very, very different.
Yes, the winter season is over. Foss has...
Winter has come.
Yes, Foss has imbibed and integrated the gold parts, and now is very different.
So I just realized that winter lasts longer in Land of the Lustrous than it does in Game of Thrones.
Okay, I don't need any of that here, Jacob.
Okay.
The big conflict seems to be right now around how the other gems are receiving Foss and Foss's new changes.
And how Foss is receiving Foss.
Well, Foss is receiving Foss, but also how Foss is interacting with those that they had prior relationships with, like Cinnabar.
Yep.
And it's a bit awkward right now, and even worse with what's potentially being kind of foreshadowed with Bortz,
right?
Who seems to have some kind of an inferiority kind of issue.
Yeah, like it could just be jealousy. Like that would make sense, you know.
Well, it always starts with jealousy.
Sure, but like it could end there. That could be all it is, and maybe they just need to fight, and and through violent exertion of physical forces, just get it all out there. But who knows?
But yeah, Foss's dramatic changes and what's been potentially happening with how the Lunarians have been changing things up, we're probably gonna be, like, at the very least, given that this is headed towards an end of some point, I would say that we are probably headed towards finding out some interesting things regarding why Foss is the way they are.
Right.
Yeah. So interested in that.
It will be interesting indeed.
Yeah. So y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone. We're going to be starting the episode in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Oh, nice. Quick little recap there. Their realization being, like, directed towards each other.
Yeah.
Rather than Foss. Mori no te.
It kind of feels weird having the same opening since Foss doesn't look like that anymore.
Yeah.
I hope Foss goes back to the way they were. Like, I know growth is important and it's needed and everything, but like, I don't like to see a jaded Foss. 無線のすすばがよ強受け止める器がでいたかけら探してるいずだジェンバッ血が名付けられた世界を探した時俺は波の湯にその時は忘れねけて言えて死をつないでるShiro. Whoa. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Hmm? Foss doesn't sleep much anymore. Whoa.
Oh. Whoa. Oh. Whoa. So we can see who's truly stronger. Hmm. Oh, all right. Oh. Ah.
Okay, that was Foss.
Right.
That was was Foss. Not happening. Whoa, you're tripping.
Wow.
Wow. Oh. 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 Oh, that's heavy. Oh. That little look at the camera, did you see that?
Yeah.
Huh? Oh. Foss. All right. Ha ha!
Aww. Hmm. My Dia senses were tingling.
Bortz is so attentive that... But why is... Oh, okay. So it's just with regards to Dia's feelings and stuff.
Yeah.
Mmm. Mmm.
All right.
Oh, here we go.
This is gonna be a big one.
Wait, twin?
Oh,
there's two of them. Whoa. Whoa. Hold up. What?
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Wait a minute. Well, don't you think it's a bit big, too?
Oh, crap. That looks like skin and hair.
Yeah.
What the heck is happening?
No. No, thank you.
Oh my god.
Is this like the Lunarian?
Foss, what are you doing?
There we go.
Oh my god. Wow. Oh my gosh.
This is 3D.
This is amazing.
This is 3D.
Yeah, this is what you do in 3D. Wow.
This is incredible.
This is so legit.
Yeah. The way we do this is we run.
We run, yeah. We get Master, we get Adamant. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've never fought this before.
Throw.
You throw the one made of gold.
Six times. 4, 5, 6.
Yeah,
that was 6. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god.
But waking up Master is impossible.
Well, why do the attacks keep escalating in this way?
Yeah, because this is not just escalation. This is like mega escalation.
Yeah. This is something else. Oh my
but
god!
Man, does it look good! Wow.
Wait, what?
Don't stand around waiting. Oh. Like Dia?
Dia.
Or Cinnabar?
No, it's Dia. No. Oh my gosh. This track too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Run.
Yeah.
Run. Run now.
Maybe it's time to be not here. Oh, and Dia doesn't have their weapon.
Slide out underneath the little parts there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh. Wow. Oh, there's some blades here. Okay.
Oh. It's like it's smelling Adamant's chair.
Oh.
Crap.
No.
Oh, crap.
Are they gonna do comedy here? Or like all the papers are gonna fly over just...
Mm-hmm. Okay, but the papers didn't go flying.
Oh, okay.
Everywhere.
I literally thought that was... Is having a chase night a part of your plan?
Yeah.
That's a great question to ask. Like, should I be scared
it
about
could
that?
be, you know, Brooks
Right.
is definitely the type of person that would probably try that.
Right.
Dia's very quiet.
Crap. Also, it helps that there's all this like clouds of stuff here.
Oh, nice. They're in the grass so that it doesn't make they don't make so much noise.
Yeah, yeah.
These shots are just so gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap.
Oh. The terror, too, of just like, because it's 3D, we're like spatially aware of where it is, like even more so. Oh my god.
Wow. It actually looks a lot smaller in that shot.
Oh.
It's an abnormal.
No.
This does look so gorgeous, though. But yeah, maybe just maybe.
Whoa!
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Wow!
That wasn't even on its nails. That was just on its fur.
Oh, Dia lost a leg.
Hey, maybe use that the sharp point of that leg to stab it.
Possibly, yeah. Oh. No way.
Yeah. Wait.
Dia did it.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh. A reflection, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Crap.
No way.
Crap.
What? It split itself? What?
Okay.
Well,
All right.
cliffhanger. Cliffhanger much.
Yeah.
Wow.
So is it that it split, or did, like, reinforcements show up? I'm not sure.
I think it's split.
Yeah, probably.
I think it's split.
Wow.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have...
This is a bit of a pickle.
We have our beast Lunarian basically showing up.
Yep. Uh-huh.
It's an abnormal one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love what they're doing with Foss here and Bortz together, because what's interesting about having these characters that are immortal, right? Mm-hmm. Like they should never die of old age or anything like that.
Right.
If you spend so much time essentially working with, partnered with someone, regardless of whether or not you'd consider the gems to be, you know, human, so to have all the full capabilities and psychological, all that stuff of being human.
Right.
That time you spend with someone means something.
Right.
Even if they don't mean as much to you, which obviously is not the case here. But just the point is that seeing how in a lot of ways Bortz could have just fallen into the jealousy trap, went into the, no, I'm going to spend time with you so that I can understand you, and be less nervous and uncomfortable around you.
Exactly.
And in order to strengthen a potential connection, and also because, like, hey, I am the most capable of all the fighters here, so I should take the one that's looking like potentially
the most promising, and
make
sure they know how to do it properly.
Right. And
and then, you know, and the stuff they did with Daya I really liked, because the thing is like, okay, the stuff we got with Foss was also fantastic.
Well, I didn't even get to talk about Foss, but I'll get to that.
But like that's kind of stuff that I've like come to expect now, you know. Whereas the stuff with Daya, that was great to show the kind of like, you know, the Toy Story thing of no one is getting replaced, you know. But she kind of felt like she was, and in some ways she was, even if it wasn't something that was going to end up being a long-term, you know, partnership. And seeing, like, because I feel like Daya a lot of the time doesn't fully deal with their emotions, you know. So the fact that they got to do that here and have the amazing sequence, not only of, like, you know, the chase sequence, but of standing up to this crazy Lunarian, that was excellent.
So Foss is hurting inside. Yeah, and it's not even a hurt thing that's really evident. It looks more like something of just the PTSD, guilt associated disconnect with reality, and latching onto something that's no longer in the present. So we have Antarcticite being this character that kind of tried to be there for Foss and give Foss meaning, which I wonder if this is something where it would actually be even better to read it in the manga, light novel, or whatever, because Antarcticite was one that we didn't get as much time with, but Foss did get a lot of time with.
Yeah, but dedicated one-on-one time.
But then there was also a huge chunk of time where Foss had no one else.
Right.
So Foss basically feels alone in the same way that Antarcticite felt alone during all of their time guarding everyone during the winter season.
Right.
Well, now also Foss has this physical aspect of themselves that makes them actually different from everyone else.
Yep.
And then they brought up actually a lot of things this episode that tie in with a couple of theories and stuff, and I'll get into that in a second. But Foss being the one that's the focal point of the story, the main character, having them deal with this loss of person, loss of who they are, their persona, if you will, being something that's tied to the specific material that is all gathered together. And they basically kind of confirmed that theory by saying, what if this thing, basically that the combination of other types of materials would dramatically alter their persona.
Right.
And everyone is noticing, Foss, you're different. Like, you are a different person. Your persona has taken on new form. In the literal sense, your person has taken on new material, new form.
And one of the things that I'd always kind of wanted to see explored in this show, given what they do with like the memories and the inclusions and everything, is that if you lost a large portion of your memories, well, then you have less to work with. So would that be something you would feel like there was something missing, right? But would that change your identity potentially, because or at least your identity would be easier to change because you have less anchoring you to who you were, right?
I would say so, but the thing is there's not a progression of, it's not a video game where you have your who you are and every day you're leveling up to 100%. Yeah.
But
it's more like who you are is just who you are at any given day.
Sure.
And
but the reason why I feel like that hasn't been something that's been explored as much for the gems is because one, they'll usually reclaim it. They won't permanently lose pieces other than maybe like tiny little bits, right? And usually if they do, they're still in the environment where they were previously living, because it's very static. Not much is really changing. So it's easy for them to go back into the form of, and sort of relearn the things that they lost, right?
Yeah, but that's not identity.
Well, right, but identity does come a lot from memories, experiences that you've built up over the course of your life. And in the case of Foss, they had a large period of time where after, not only was it traumatic, but after losing this large portion of themselves, they had very little to go off of. That, like, they had previously lost another third of themselves, and then they just lost another third, right? And now they have a whole winter to basically just think about what happened and sort of figure out who they are now moving forward, even if this is maybe a process that they're more familiar with.
Right, but again, we're talking about identity right here, but I think in the story, in the show, they're talking about persona, aka like personality and like kind of attributes, less than identity, if that makes sense.
Well, okay, I feel like we're just sort of debating definitions.
Okay. So yeah, let me retroactively backpedal to where you were talking about here, basically saying that the show hadn't gone into the whole idea of them experiencing any loss of identity because it was either easily reclaimed or the environment reinforced the past identity, which is interesting to bring up, because the idea of the environment reinforcing the identity is something that is immutable in the same way the gems are. Like, they don't leave this area.
Right.
This place doesn't change. If anything, they just get more and more aware of little quirks about this island and stuff. But they do these little things, though, to kind of uniform their identity. To give them like little
like the clothes or the makeup or
the makeup.
It's and however they do their hairstyles, like
that's another thing. I think actually the reason why they even have any kind of specific bipedal form and having this general look and this shape is because the collective aspect of the inclusions and the memories and all that,
giving it a sense of individuality and identity that causes it to desire to take a certain shape or something.
Well, yes, but gives it specifically the desire to be as close as it can to the thing that originally was, that was human.
Sure. Yeah.
So it just assumes that form. But what we're seeing with Foss specifically is a breakdown of that. The persona, even in the human aspect of the persona, is gone almost completely in a lot of ways, with the idea of the gold being this near liquid tentacle kind of thing that has no restrictions really in terms of its movement. It's something that defies that whole previous nature that they had all kind of
it's
had
a very new existence. Yeah.
It's a new existence, but it's something where when we look at Foss, in a lot of ways, Foss hasn't lost too many obvious memories. Like, you look at how much has been lost in terms of material, but actually in terms of what's been gained for Foss, it far outweighs anything that they've lost.
So maybe it's that the order in which of the things that are lost are the things that are, like, if you think about like the way we deal with memories as people, the more you think about a memory, the stronger it is. The easier it is for the neurons to make the synapses to recall it and things like that. So if it's
I'm not following.
Well, the way neurons work in the brain is that the more often a specific neuron synapse combination is done, the easier it is for that synapse combination to be done in the future.
Yes, but with this,
right?
How do you connect it to this?
In the case of the memories, maybe the memories that are being lost are the ones that are more on the surface, right? They're all the extra details and things, the ones that you don't use as much. Whereas more of like the core stuff, that takes, you need to lose a lot more for that to go away.
Right. So what I'm getting the vibe from is actually the separation. I think that's interesting, but that's not what I'm particularly seeing here. What I'm seeing is more that Foss has inclusions, and those inclusions are accepting the gold, the agate.
Yeah.
But they're separate from the phosphophylite.
Sure.
Like the material doesn't carry the inclusions. Like you see where the issue starts to come with here, which means that if you replaced the final third, Foss would still be Foss. At least I don't see a loss of 66%. I don't even see a loss of a thing of where it's like really any hard memories are lost at all. It's talking about like specific. There were moments in this episode where Foss had like little things of what are those called again? What are those little things again and stuff. But it's like
or Cinnabar or
Well, no. Foss did remember Cinnabar.
They just didn't remember like anything about their relationship with Cinnabar.
There were details regarding the past interactions that they've had, but what I maybe assumed wrongly in the previous stuff was that there was a 1-to-1 kind of ratio connection or something like that of material to memories to inclusions to all that, and now I don't think it's as equal, and I think that tells us actually a little bit more about some really unique ways the show can evolve going forward, in that Foss is actually an example of the way the gems should evolve moving forward. Is that they take in parts from other things. They end up maybe having an exchange. So just because they imbibe something doesn't mean they have to hold on to it forever.
Right, because
they can let go of it and have something else come in.
Yeah, like if the inclusions and stuff, store the memory, and inclusions are able to also integrate with new materials. Right. Then how long does it take for those new inclusions materials to store the same memories? Like is it just as soon as they're fully integrated and you're able to use the new arm as a new arm, then any memories that were previously stored in the rest of your body are now also perfectly stored in the arm? Like,
well, here's a thought. There's been this whole thing about how Foss is able to now talk with the jelly. There was the jellyfish, which is hilarious this episode. It's just a random thing, but it's just reminding us, I think, that Foss has the unique ability to communicate with other creatures, entities and such. What if that's actually what inclusions are doing with new material? Is that they need to figure out a way to talk to them so that they can exchange the micro bits of information and stuff.
Yeah.
And then once that's done, it's like, oh, okay, now you can send signals to the gold tentacle arm and move it, manipulate it, and do whatever you want with it. And that just makes sense in terms of a, like you were saying with like synapses and stuff like that. It just makes it easier over time. But yeah. This whole state that Foss is in feels more like a loss of the quirks that they had rather than the hard memory.
A loss of innocence rather than a loss of memory.
Right. It feels like more like a colder form of maturation.
Right, exactly. And that's I feel like why it's kind of so painful to see.
Right.
Because there's still those elements of Foss that are there.
Yes.
Right. But and I hate that I'm making this pun again, but it fits so well, is that Foss has become jaded. You know.
That. I love that pun. That's a good one. I thought you were going to do the other one you did earlier.
Which one?
Never mind. You forgot. That's good.
I mean, I was talking about the Game of Thrones thing. That wasn't a pun. That was just a joke. But, you're like,
keep going.
It's because it's this thing of like Foss has always been this sort of, you know, bumbling idiot that needed to grow up, and everyone was telling to grow up, but wasn't, right? Yep. And the whole trope of the anime character cutting the hair to showcase like a you know, at the very least growing up, if not a loss of innocence, and in Foss's case, it's kind of both,
right?
Which also has a way more literal like application because of the fact that, you know, the hair was made up of phosphophylite, which, you know, inclusions and all that, and but yeah, I don't know how they're going to top this new Lunarian. Like, I know that's kind of a jump off back to other stuff from this episode.
Let's not discuss that actually. Then let's not discuss that then, because the Lunarian is interesting, and while it introduces a whole new layer of mystery, it's so alien to the way the previous Lunarians were that I don't even want to.
Oh yeah.
I don't even want to discuss it really in the speculative territory. It provided a very cool, clever, terrifying antagonist, and the way they directed the shots,
the CG, like, oh my god,
the CG, the visuals,
that was
everything,
so good.
But back to Foss. Foss is now going through not just a loss of innocence and a maturation of sorts, but also the loss of a friend, a relationship, a connection that no one else other than Adamant had. And this is something that I think is intentional. I think it's going to drive Foss and Adamant to be even closer than they were before. But more recently, it seems like what's been happening with Foss is that everyone's suddenly realizing, wow, Foss is useful. You notice that? So people are doing things that are like, oh, because you're useful in these areas, can you please do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And all this stuff is being asked of Foss. That kind of reminds you a little bit of Antarcticite. Antarcticite was the only one capable of doing this thing during the...
so the responsibility fell into them to do all of it.
But that was something that, based on what we saw of Antarcticite, weighed heavily upon them. And actually, psychologically, I would say, chipped away at who they were. Okay. See the whole connection there, the idea that Antarcticite was dealing with this burden of doing this all alone.
All right.
And thus needed desperately the connection, the affirmation, the love from Adamant in order to feel like, hey, all this means something. I mean something to...
I thought that was just because Adamant was the only person that Antarcticite really knew.
But that's
it wasn't because of the task, it was because they were alone.
Well, yes, but like the idea that Foss is headed towards something like that with having everyone actually be there.
Right. Yes.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And I would say also it's doubly worse because in some ways Foss is now the only one that has that kind of connection still with Antarcticite. And while this might seem a little bit cold to say, I think that it's something where Adamant might have primarily had... I'm not saying anything about him being like, you know, negative or evil about this or anything, but just that he's you know, Antarcticite's gone, so it's not like Antarcticite is probably like weighing heavily upon his heart just in every waking moment or something like that.
Well, I mean, whereas he's not waking right now, so
whereas Foss is now actually like traumatized to the point of hallucinating and seeing Antarcticite in like multiple like environments, places.
Yes, because
Adamant
is asleep and everything. It's exacerbated the fact that Foss is alone even though they're not alone. It's that living a life of quiet desperation thing.
Yep. You know? Definitely. Great way to put
it. And the fact that they're making these additional connections with the other gems is good, because maybe that can be the way that Foss can talk about it and get it off their chest and process it and everything, and you know, fill in the cracks, so to speak.
For sure. But
given how they are right now, who knows how that will happen, if it will happen, when it will happen.
another crazy thought with the whole idea of the material, the inclusions, the integration, and all that is integrating those materials when they were going to eventually naturally form and just become a person, like become a gem, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Was Foss essentially like
cannibalizing
and just kind of ruining the potential of a new individual?
They said that the fragments rarely actually end up turning into gems.
Rarely, that's true.
Like that is an occurrence that, you know, given that Foss is the youngest and they're almost 300 years old, a pretty rare occurrence.
For sure.
I mean, I suppose anything that Foss includes into themselves, or the other gems include into themselves, wouldn't be able to then, you know, given a few hundred years, get refined or whatever, collect other, you know, elements, particles that end up turning into, you know, another sentient life form. But yeah,
I am basically worried about a storyline, a plot thread, a character arc of sorts, the combination of all three, where Foss goes on I slowly lose everyone, and then I incorporate them into myself, and I just become even more and more dead inside.
Gotcha.
Because what's happening right here in the story, character interactions, dynamic sense with Bortz and
Daya,
and Foss. Daya is important here, yes, but it was because Foss came in with all this new different stuff that Bortz decided, I want to be partners. And because they wanted to be partners, they were out and they separated Daya. And Daya would have been out there and might have been able to be protected, and they probably wouldn't have even attacked at all.
Because they really seem to be drawn to Foss, for one.
But just the idea that, in some ways, I think Foss is going to blame themselves for what happened with Daya here. Even though it doesn't look like anything permanent necessarily happened, even though the fight's not over.
Assuming that Bortz doesn't die as well.
Yes, exactly. So I see this just going in a very depressing direction for Foss, where there's this idea,
even more.
Yes, there's this idea of just being alone and what that means, and the idea of being alone, like you said, living lives of quiet desperation is a good reference too. But like, specifically alone surrounded by many, the idea of Foss carrying potentially even then the future, the hope, the evolution of the gems in their own composition, just with the way you could look at things like that, but also then having the ability to communicate with other entities in that way. It's I could see this season ending.
Yeah,
this is a crazy idea, but I could see this season ending where Adamant understands finally, or understands like on some level what's going on with the Lunarians via his meditations and stuff.
Right.
And realizes that Foss needs to be excommunicated, because Foss is actually like a threat to their...
How did you get there?
Basically just that the incorporation of all these things and stuff into Foss, but then specifically the goal of the Lunarians seems to be something that's getting consistently escalated because of Foss's presence.
Right. Well,
or not Foss's presence, but because of Foss's recent evolution when they dissolved into the snail, and then because of that, all this sequence of events capped off and things like that. Or at the very least, they need to go set out and explore and make contact, because things are getting worse and they're not going to stop getting worse.
Sure. Like, the idea of Foss going on a hero's journey where they actually have to set out, find the boon, bring it back, you know.
Yeah, but
I'm all for that.
Right. The end result though would be a form of excommunication. That's where my leap in logic kind of was made. Okay. If anything. Yeah.
But in order for that to happen, one of the things they would have to do first is they would actually need to quantify in this world that Foss is attracting the Lunarians. Yeah. More so, because there was the thing with Aculeatus and whatnot. That's that's a specific instance, where there was an ambush because they drew Foss out there, right?
Yeah.
But for the other stuff,
yeah,
it's more of just something of
coincidence.
Will the author give an explanation for why there's this seemingly out of nowhere escalation that would not allow them to survive as long as they have been if it was something that was constant?
Gotcha. Okay. That's a good point.
Because it could just be the main character aspect. Like
yeah. Yeah. But the way they have the Lunarians mystery built up so well is something that
Right. There's another... Well, there's also the possibility that it's just that they're trying to get it adamant.
That's that's something that I think is has always kind of been a goal of theirs. Because we have all kinds of theories on Adamant's whole origins and stuff like that, and things involving him actually being a Lunarian, or being a Lunarian gem, or being an actual human or something like that. There's a lot of things that he could be, but the idea that the Lunarians have not destroyed them up until this point
doesn't really make sense
if things have been escalated in this way. So I would say they've more recently just escalated into something crazy, and the only big thing that changed was Foss's dissolution into ventricosis. So I think that either we're gonna have to have a cliffhanger where they talk, like the
Lunarians actually do.
The Lunarians talk either one to Foss, because Foss can talk with other things, but that's probably more specifically just flesh beings, because dissolving into ventricosis and stuff.
And Foss didn't seem to understand. Well, yeah, because it was post the dissolution, and Foss didn't seem to be able to understand what they were saying to Aculeatus or ventricosis.
Wait,
when ventricosis was like, give my brother back and whatnot. The Lunarians were doing their speak or whatever.
Oh, right. And Foss had no idea what was going on. You're right. Okay. Then the only entity or person that could actually interact with the Lunarians would have to be Adamant in his meditative states.
Right. And who knows what that would look like, what it would entail, how it would actually work. Yeah.
So... lots of questions. We are in a crazy cliffhanger, though, with this just weird, creepy, crazy Lunarian.
But Daya used the fact that they were able to break to their advantage.
I guess this diamond is breakable, but is also
this diamond is very breakable.
Also really sharp, though. Once they're been serrated like.
Well, what can I say? They have certain battle tendencies.
Oh, that's right. And they went full Crusader on that thing there. They released their Stardust and went full Crusader.
Sure.
On on that there.
But the phantom blood that was spilled before Foss has been haunting them.
Y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. Any level support gets you access to our Discord, where you can chat with us about stories, about stupid puns that we come up with like this, or just anime in general, or whatever. Anything that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.